With age comes wisdom, experience, and a whole lot of unexpected changes. Welcome to Dad Brain, where two best friends share their journeys through the ups and downs of their 30s. Get ready for the raw and honest realities of growing older. Here are your hosts, Matt K. and Matt L.
Welcome back to another episode of Dad Brain. We've got an extra special guest here, our first celebrity. I'm going to let Matt L. introduce our guest to us. So
our guest today is stand-up comedian Marc-Anthony Sinagoga. Did I get that right?
You did.
I did. Okay.
No one ever does.
I really did practice. I was sending Matt like the phonetic spelling of it all day. I was like, we got to nail his last name. We got to get some rapport right off the bat. So I'm happy to hear that.
As a former teacher, you should be good at that. I was hoping you were going to say, I'm going to butcher this.
Yeah, I mean, every teacher has butchered it. I got Sinagoga. I've had just synagogue, obviously. Everything under the sun. Yeah, it means synagogue in 40 languages or something like that.
Okay.
So, you know what I mean? It comes with all the Jewish jokes you can think of. And I'm Italian.
That's one thing we're definitely going to touch on there.
Nice.
No, basically, when we started this podcast, obviously, you know how it is. You got to go to all the social media platforms, and that algorithm starts understanding who your audience is, and it starts serving you some of that content. Mm-hmm. And you were one of those voices that was constantly coming up. And it was the level of just the different characters that you do. Mm-hmm. The different characters that you do. Obviously the dad aspect of it all. And that's why I decided to reach out to you. And we're just so honored to have you on Dad Brain today. So thanks so much for joining us.
Dude, no problem. I'm fully here, fully committed, despite the phones ringing in the background. New dad, father of one, ready to go. I mean,
how new of a dad are you?
7 weeks into
Holy
dad
shit,
life.
that's the same as Matt.
Wow.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, dude, we're 8 weeks and 3 days.
Buddy, I'm 7 weeks and 2 days, something like that, right around there. June 7th.
June 7th. Yeah, we're May 28th.
So what's
Unreal.
the craziest thing that's happened? Matt went off the deep end, took his baby to a Drake concert, went to a Dierks Bentley, all this crazy stuff.
Come on.
Right after she was born. What's the craziest thing you've gotten into with your kid so far?
Oh man, I mean, I've gone to I went to a bar with her in the stroller. Went to dinner, one of those high-end fancy restaurants where the tables are elbow to elbow, and I was just I'm just gonna slot this baby right here, and people were just closer to the baby than I was that were strangers, because the first little bit they're don't expose it to anybody for 6 weeks. I went to there was a big soccer game going on. I brought her to the soccer game. Go.
I'm so happy to hear that because the baby is just a part of your life, right? So you're bringing them into all aspects of it. And, Matt mentioned that I went to a concert. We took her on her first airplane. And
we need to talk about that.
Yeah, I got all the tips, brother. But we are also going on our first cruise this coming weekend.
See, you know what? My wife's been busting my chops steady to be listen, we got to go on vacation while they're this small. And I'm I won't be caught dead with this child on a plane. I don't know about you, man, but when they have that, they're restless, they're screaming, there's nothing you can do to get them to be quiet. I can't be that guy on the plane with that kid. I fly so often. And when there's a baby, you feel the whole cabin just being shut the fuck up. It's tough. I don't know how you did it.
No, we definitely got a couple of those looks, and a lot of those looks came from people that had kids sitting right next to them. And it's you had to have experienced this at some point.
Or they're no, we had the common decency not to fly with our kid that young.
Exactly.
We're good people, unlike you.
Yeah,
entitled
see,
prick.
That's exactly. I want to make that choice. I want to be listen, they're not going to remember anyways. We went to the zoo. The kid slept through the whole thing. And I'm why? I've been here. Why are we here?
That's what I I keep saying, I'm like, take your kid to the bar. Don't go to Disney on Ice this young. The kid doesn't know the difference. Go enjoy yourself. But yes, the flight, I mean, we're due in November, so we're not doing anything during the holidays. But then, people in Michigan up north here, that's when you go to Florida. So that we're kind of thinking there might be a trip in the cards.
Coming to visit, eh?
We're going to be going to the coast side. You're going to
okay. Yeah. You can't come visit as co-host or anything like that.
Yeah.
You said make the trip.
It makes sense. I wouldn't visit us either. Just go to the coast. That's way better.
So you're based in Ontario, right?
In Toronto, yeah.
Toronto. Okay. So, you're not far from me then. So.
You're in Michigan, you said?
Yeah.
I've only driven through. I haven't. I've had shows planned and canceled due to COVID. I was going to do stuff with Mike Ball. I'm not sure if you know him, but no,
I live under a rock.
No, it's all good. He produces a bunch of shows. But anyways, yeah, everything got canceled due to COVID, so that kind of ruined my little Michigan run. But yeah,
definitely gonna check you out if you're ever around. I saw you had some dates in Cleveland. Maybe that might be in the cards too, depending on my schedule. But
yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah,
no,
definitely
but
want to pay it forward. So
obviously you're out there doing the mics and headlining your own shows, have the constant content, and you also have a new album that just came out too, right?
Yeah.
I tried to listen to your album, by the way. We have a lot of United States listeners, and on Spotify I had no luck, so I had to go over to YouTube where I could luckily go on there. And
you couldn't find it on Spotify?
No, it's on Spotify, but it was like region locked.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
just a heads up, man.
So Spotify, you are not getting U.S. listeners on Spotify, just so you know.
How do I change that?
Move to the U.S.
I'm opening Spotify right now. What the fuck? Are you for real?
No, I'm for real, man. I'm sorry.
Dude. I don't know how to change that. That is ridiculous.
But I will say that the silver lining is that I could go to YouTube because you had a YouTube link there to listen to your album as well. So that's where I was able to consume the well-fed album.
Amazon, everything. But Spotify's a big one, bro. What do you mean, brother? I'm furious. Sorry, I'm writing this in my notes. Fuck you, Spotify.
Just so he knows, we do host on Spotify too.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, Spotify, listen, open me up to the channel.
Fuck you, Spotify. Make this man worldwide, okay?
Honestly.
Mark, I had a question just about the Canadian comedy scene.
Yeah.
I'm a big stand-up comedy fan. Kill Tony. I mean, we always go to Austin, and I think of names like Jared Nathan, Ben Bankus, Aaron Blisle, all Canadian people who are now coming here to the States and really making a name for themselves. Mm-hmm. What is it about the Canadian comedy scene that is making people want to come to the United States and just share their content and share their comedy here?
How long do you want this answer to be?
We'll cut you off. You go.
Okay. There's just not enough people. To sum it up, the market's not big enough. So, I'm not going to toot my own horn. I'm just going to spit the facts here. I've toured the country here every year for the past 5 to 10 years. The first 5, I wasn't headlining. The second 5, I was headlining these, every club in the country, my own shows, self-produced, whatever. And here I am this year sitting here going, what's the point? I've done it already. The clubs don't get enough money to pay enough for it to be worth it. Whereas I can go and run my own show somewhere, take the whole door, make everything. Sure, it's going to take a little bit more production work, but I'm going to make potentially $10,000 on a show rather than $300. So when you're looking at that, yeah, right. The clubs they'll pay you to anywhere from $150 to $300 a show. So, and a lot of them don't run the whole week. We're fortunate that we have some clubs like Absolute Comedy, my home club. You go from Tuesday to Sunday, and then there's 3 shows Saturday, 2 Friday, whatever. You're getting about $200 a show. So sure, by the end of the week, you got a couple grand, but am I going to go to Ottawa? Am I going to go to you got to really go on the road for a long period of time to get a lot of money. It's so much work for so little money. Now, people out there probably going to be like, buddy, 2-3 grand is not no money, but it's like if you see the work you have to go through,
Yeah.
yeah, and how far
Developing
you
your
got to go.
jokes and all that stuff. I mean, when you break that down to like dollars an hour, it's nothing at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then
You
like
might as well be doing
that's
it for free.
where, yeah, and that's where the merch comes in, right? So like I have the vinyls as a little novelty thing. I've got hats, shirts, whatever, right? And you end up making more money, especially in the U.S. on merch than you do on your shows. So there's just, there's more people in Texas than there are in all of Canada. So it's like you just look at the numbers, right? There's more comedy clubs in New York than all of Canada. There's
Yeah.
more comedy clubs in LA than all of Canada. So like when you just think about the numbers, it's like how many times can you play the road here and where you go from here? At this point, it's if I'm going to go on the road, I'm just making money. And is it worth being away from the newborn for a month, which
Right.
is, just for what? Maybe 5-6 grand in the pocket. Okay, that's not a bad month, but I was away for a month.
Yeah, that's
It's,
huge.
yeah, it's not like anybody knows your name. I get more name notoriety off of social media. So it's in the US, just there's way more opportunity. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm at the top of the game in Canada. There is, but like for layman's terms, I'd say there's about one more notch above me here. And that ceiling is like very touchable. And that's like Jerry D. I don't know if you guys know Jerry D or not.
Yeah.
Jerry D's got his own show, Mr. D's, the host of Family Feud Canada and stuff. So like that's about, him, Ron James, and so on for guys that stay here. But over there in the US, if I come to the US now as a headliner, there's like another 15 notches in the ladder here to go. Do you know what I mean? Between me
Yeah.
and Kevin Hart, you can
Yeah.
land anywhere amongst, Burt Kreischer isn't Kevin Hart, but makes,
He's getting close.
exactly, Kill Tony, the whoever, right? Christian DeStefano, like there's levels to the game that is way more successful than where we are here. And that's just a numbers game. You can tour more. People support the entertainment more down there. They put more money in their entertainment down there. Like, buddy, I go down there and do one show. My merch is gone, like right away. Like, they eat it up. Over here,
USA. USA.
Hey,
the
Matt,
housing's
let's make sure.
affordable. Like, fuck, you know.
Let's let our producer know we gotta buy some T-shirts off this guy for
Absolutely.
coming on for us. We got to do that. So I guess I was gonna ask in my notes is it sounds like there's not a whole lot of competition with Canadian stand up. Do you think that lack of competition is what allowed you to springboard to the height you're at, or do you think social media is what really got your name out there?
Yeah, you're consistent, man. I mean, not just the volume of content, but just like everything I see. Like I've just been showing my wife that one video where you're like holding up your wife's belly. My wife made me do that shit.
Hilarious.
I was like, that's
Yes,
just so relatable, man. Like,
No, my
it's
favorite
great.
video is the sneeze, and then you try and give her a diaper. Be like, why don't you just accept this?
yeah, oh, dude, that was a real thing. And like, I mean, the there's a lot of competition here. Like that's the problem. There's more comedians than shows. Do you know what I'm
Okay.
saying? By like 10,000 times, Now that's not to say that there isn't more competition down there. Like this is what I mean. Like the ceiling's way higher, but the floor is way lower. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
comics down there that I'm just like, what are you fucking thinking? Like this,
Not for
this
you.
is not for you, bro. But they'll do it for 15 years, and still make more money than someone like myself would up here. So, but definitely the social media has been the way to go for me anyways. Like, and I owe it to a lot of guys around me that I saw doing it, like Neiman Naz, for example, Austin Alexander, Andrew Packer, Shea Dorena, Ryan Long. Like Shea Dorena and Ryan Long both now live in New York, and those are guys that literally blew up from TikTok and YouTube and Instagram, and now they're headlining all across the country. They have agents, they have American representation, all this kind of stuff. So
Bet if you had an agent, Spotify wouldn't be fucking you over like that.
bro, I'm actually furious. This whole thing was worth it just because I found that piece of information out. If this gets no views, at least we got that Sound Exchange is not putting my shit on Spotify. God damn.
Oh, no, I can guarantee 60 views. I can guarantee that. But we should actually do a lot more than that. We've been
No, sorry, that wasn't a shot at you. By the way. Like,
no,
you know what I mean?
I'm not taking it that way.
There's sometimes where I do stuff, like I'll even do shows, and I'm like, was this worth it? And then you get one little tidbit that it has nothing to do with the show entirely that you're like, fuck, that was worth it just because I found out that Buddy's cheating on his wife or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you know. So, yeah.
So, do you have any plans like to go down to Austin at all? Because you were talking a lot about like the opportunities, and one thing with like Austin, Texas, I mean, it's just becoming like the Mecca, man. Like there's 3, 4, 5, 6 mics a night. And as a fan, I'm just going to each one. And that's how I'm learning about guys like one of the newest Kill Tony regulars, Cam Patterson. He's from the home club here in Tampa. And now he's a regular on Kill Tony. And he moved to Austin just because of the amount of opportunity there.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. So is that something you're looking into at all? I mean, even just like a drop by? I mean, there's just so many clubs, man.
Like, and that's why, like, you know, I've taken a few months off, and I'm trying to schedule the fall, the winter, of just constantly just dropping into places, because figuring out where I want to end up, where I want to land, and what the best approach is. Because, you know, it's not like 5 years ago where it would have been an easy decision being like, oh, I'm going to New York, case closed kind of thing, as a stand-up, you know. But yeah, now seeing like the landscape is changing. Hollywood seems to be either dying or shifting. So yeah, I definitely have the plans. It's the biggest problem is the green card, right? You know, you can't get paid there legally, you know, without it. And you can make a certain amount of money per year there. I want to say it's like 30 grand or something like that. But here's the thing, if I go to the border and I go, hey, yeah, I'm just coming to visit, you know, no problem. And they're like, okay, great. What's your name? And they Google search me on the spot. Yeah. And it says, oh, I'm doing a show over here. Buddy, they stamp my passport. I'm banned for 5 years. Like,
really?
It's happened to so many friends of mine. It's absolutely ludicrous, but they really, it depends who you get, right? Like some people will just be like, turn back around, buddy. You're not going to your show. Fuck you. You know what I mean? We're not going to get you paid, because they view it as taking work away from one of their own people, right? So that's the problem.
Jibs.
Yeah. Took our gerbs. Legit.
So, like, it sounds like, did you take the time off because of the newborn?
Yeah. Like,
so
for me,
obviously.
And I mean, again, it's not, I didn't fully take it off. Like, I'm still making content, but in terms of doing the live shows, I'm sort of just like, you know, usually I'd be sitting here going, all right, what am I doing in September and August? And I'm filling my schedule. But right now, unless someone is approaching me being like, hey, can you come do this show? This is the amount. And a lot of them, I'm declining, being like, dude, I'm not coming to your show 2 hours away for $100. Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's just, I would usually be scheduling my stuff on the road, being like, okay, we're going to go to Halifax for 2 weeks. All right. Or like the East Coast or BC and Vancouver, and do a run there. And like, you plan these road shows, you string together some club work, some road work. And I'm just like, what am I doing? Do I want to be a Canadian road worker for the rest of my fucking life? Absolutely not.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So grind it out forever.
No, exactly. So I'm trying to find the best play. I believe Chicago is going to be my first little dabble in.
Okay.
I've been to all these places before,
Yeah.
but you know, Chicago, like we've got a lot of, because I do a lot of those
big improv scene.
Yeah, exactly. And that Hardcore Italians page is always collabing with me and stuff. So like, got a little bit of a Italian audience there. So I'm trying to go where the numbers are for my analytics and do some stuff and just kind of build it up, you know?
I mean, one of the things that you're kind of talking about there is just like the importance of your time when you become a dad. I mean, obviously you already had this very grueling schedule as a stand-up comedian, but then you throw on top of it being a brand new dad, right? And it's like, where do I actually want to invest my time into? Because that time away, you know, I could be missing something, right?
Well, yeah, you're not doing this, your career, your comedy career, for you anymore and for the art of it. Now you're doing it for, you have a daughter, right?
Yeah.
I think I caught that. For your daughter now. You're doing it all for her at this point. I mean, really.
Yeah, that's the struggle, man. Like, here's the thing. Everything takes a hit, right? Your relationship with your wife, all of it, you know, takes a hit. And then you're like, okay, so I need to put my free time into, you know, me and my wife's time in figuring out how we're going to navigate the next year or two, because I'm currently living with family. We had a condo in Toronto. We sold it. Now I'm shacked up with family in the suburbs here as we're looking for a house. But like the house prices, I'm not sure if you're tapped into what's going on in Canada, bro, but it's like put a gun in your mouth. Like it just doesn't make sense. So, I could buy a mansion in Texas cash, no problem. Like 200 grand, no problem. Over here, it's like 1.8 million, 2.5 million. Like,
when you said you had a condo in Toronto, I was like, holy shit, he must be doing really good with comedy.
No, and
Toronto pricing is crazy. And I mean, where I'm at in Michigan is getting fucking nuts too.
Same here in Florida.
Like, and even working hard, you're still getting priced out of being a homeowner, which is nuts.
It's terrible. I mean, like, here's the thing. I bought this condo in like 2015. It was a pre-construction. We got such a good deal. We got to be able to put money down like once a year for like 3 years leading up. Then the pandemic pushed it another X amount of years. So like, it's not like, I'm doing so well I can afford like a nice high rise in Toronto, But we kind of lucked out there. But the fact that I can't sell my condo and have enough for a down payment for a fucking house is just bananas. Like it makes no fucking sense. Yeah. And it's like I got to be living 2-3 hours north here of Toronto, and it's like, what's the point? And even
that's
then,
on fire. So
yeah, and exactly, that's on fire, literally.
So that's on fucking fire.
And the city.
Yeah, thanks
on
to you,
fire.
I can't walk out of my house. By the way, it's a smog over here.
legit. And I don't know who did it, but they should have started further south to just redo this.
It was
whole
definitely
city.
a gender reveal party that started the fire. That's how it happened in California. I'm guessing that's how it happened in Canada. Fuck those gender reveal parties.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably a Leafs jersey burning. I don't know. Could have been something else. Who the fuck knows?
Speaking of the gender reveal thing, there's one video that you had on your page, and it was like breaking the news to your dad that you're having a girl.
Uh-huh.
And this was one of the things that I personally experienced. Sure? Like all of the photos from our gender reveal party, like it's just like, I don't want to say disappointment because I love my baby girl, but like I was really hoping for a boy, and Matt's having a boy, and that one just resonated with me so much because I was just like, yeah, but now I'm here and it's great, like
you can try again, Matt. That's the
yeah.
Bro, it is real. Like, and a lot of people were giving me backlash on that video, being like, you piece of shit. Like, did your dad really do that? And I'm like, my dad's even annoyed that I put it out. He's like, what are you doing to me? Like, people at my work are like, well, the fuck did you do that to your son? And he's denying it. I'm like, buddy, you're still telling me, listen, even if you have a second one and it's a girl, you got to try for a third, right? Like, we're not going to stop until we get a boy, right? Like, how far are you going to go? And I'm like, buddy, it's not up to just me, eh? Like, my vagina didn't rip in half. I don't know what you want from me here, So,
yeah, it's not that easy. It's a roll of the dice, but
yeah.
I think that's just guilt. Like, when people get upset about that, they're guilty over having those feelings because everybody has those feelings. Everybody has their preference of wanting a boy or a girl, and it doesn't change how you might grow out of that too. If you thought we're dead son having a boy and you have a girl, you might grow to love the girl and be like, why did I ever want to have a boy? You never know that. But everybody has those thoughts, and doesn't make you a bad person. But if you have guilt over them, that's when you become a dick about people joking about them.
Yeah. I mean, especially being Italian, right? Like, you got to carry the bloodline on, man.
And you
this
know what,
Game of
bro?
Thrones.
Who's going to run the family?
And I'm just like, what year is it, brother? Like, no one fucking cares. Are we allowed to swear on this podcast? Because I've been dropping them.
We're far past.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no one cares. Like, this whole, like, carry on the name stuff is just, like, not that I'm not for it. Oh, yeah, it's my last name. I love it. No, whatever. But it's like, in the end of the day, does it really matter? Do people care? Do names have the weight they used to? Do they matter as much? Do you know what I mean? No. So it's like, what... and a lot of girls keep their names these days. Yeah. It's like, what are you worried about?
This century, she might not change her name when she gets married. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. She might be a boy at some point, right?
That could happen. She might do a couple flippy floppies.
Yeah, right. That would be. You never know. You never know.
Speaking of, you being a brand new girl dad, can you tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming a dad? Because a lot of what we did at Dad Brain is we started this when I already was expecting. Matt wasn't even expecting when we started this podcast. So, like, was this something? Was this something that was always like in the cards for you and your wife, or was this just like planned out in advance? Just give us some insight into like your journey.
Well, we got married and we were like, okay, how long, and this is always my fault because of my career choice, finances being so, up and down and inconsistent. I always was like, okay, no, let's push the wedding more because fuck, I don't know if I'm going to be able to contribute as much as you are and this and that. And same thing with the baby. I'm like, oh shit, like we don't have the space. We're going to have to move. And I don't know how we're going to do that because the money, whatever. And like, my grandparents, one of my grandmothers who passed away was always just like, you're never ready for anything in life. Like you just figure it out. That's what we all did. It's not like I said, oh, we're going to move to Toronto from Italy and I have it all figured out and I know how much I'm paying. Like, no, right? So when she put it like that, that like lit a fire into my ass to be like, okay, you can't wait for being famous or making 200 grand a year or whatever your benchmark is, right? Like I can't wait for that in order to put my life on hold and stuff, So sorry, I worded that incorrectly, but you know what I'm saying. So I was letting where I was in my career withhold me from living my personal life. And that obviously was just not the right call. So we had a lot of friends that couldn't have kids or were trying to have kids and was taking them like, 2-3 years, 40, 50,000 bucks in all different methods and stuff. So we were just like, hey, we don't know, this could take a long time. So let's start the process. After we got married, we had about a year where we were just sort of settling into a married life and stuff. And then we're like, okay, wean yourself off the birth control, me start changing up diet stuff for like supersonic sperm or whatever the fuck, and then, we just started trying and then it so happens that it worked right away and here we are. Right. Whereas, not everybody was so fortunate. So
that was the mistake I made. I had trepidations about becoming a dad. So we pushed it off a couple years after we got married. And I mean, my wife wanted to have kids before we were engaged. She was like, put a baby in me now. And I'm like, hold on. I've only known you for like 4 years.
Right. Yeah.
But, yeah, and it was hard for us, and we had to do all the medical stuff that you talked about, all that money. And I'm like, man, I wish we had found out a lot earlier that it was going to be this difficult. I wish we'd been trying. I mean, we were still banging like rabbits at the beginning of our relationship.
Of course.
Happened,
Yeah.
But
It would have changed the whole entire college experience, right? You would have just been busting everywhere if we knew how hard it was to actually get someone pregnant.
Right?
Turns out Matt K was shooting blanks this whole time,
That's hilarious. Yeah, see what I mean? Like you never know.
Time. Or it could have been herpes too. So
yeah, thank God that it wasn't that.
So obviously you have the stand-up comedy and you're always making content. Has your wife always been like a supporter of you, like creating content? Because my wife very sparingly listens to this podcast, and when she does, she always just like corrects me.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, no, go ahead.
Well, like yesterday, we were in the car, and my wife wanted to listen to our last episode, and I was like, let's not listen to it. I listen to all the episodes. I don't want to listen to it right now. Really, I didn't want to listen to it because I didn't want her to pick everything apart and be like, Matt, you're lying. Or I'm like, no, I'm just exaggerating for funnies. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a lie.
Baby.
I used to produce shows back in the day. Like we've known each other since like way back, like high school, late elementary school. So we
Wow.
Yeah. We've known each other for such a long time, so many different circles of friends and all this kind of stuff. And like when I was producing my own shows in where like the neighborhood I grew up in, she would always come with all of her friends. Like, so she's been supporting the career since time. I always thought it was funny and all that kind of stuff. But for the content, she's not that critical about it. I've forced her to be into it because I'm just like, listen, I have to make content. And if this is going to be taking up my life, you just now have to be in them, whether you like it or not. And I also see it so many couple content that like blow up. I'm like, listen, you're coachable.
Yeah.
Mimic what I'm saying. Just, mimic the timing. Timing's a struggle, but whatever. We're growing, But like the stand-up, bro, when she comes to a stand-up show, bro, I'm just like, the whole car ride is like, and then you said this, and then like, and that contradicted this. That's why no one was laughing. You're standing up there looking like an idiot, and you were like, why is no one laughing? And really, it's because you messed up your joke. And I was like, oh, wow, I didn't even catch any of that. But you're not coming to another show for at least a year.
You've
So,
destroyed my confidence.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, how about you and my mom drive home together, for fuck's sakes? Leave me out of this shit.
This makes total sense because, I mean, you are a comedian, an actor, and a writer, right? So you're the one who's providing, kind of the guidelines for her when it comes to the content, not allowing her to be as critical of it.
So
Yeah,
is she appreciative of your sense of humor? Does she like your jokes? Does she find you funny? Is that like how you guys got together anyways?
yeah,
Or?
pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, now it's like, as every year that goes by, she's a little harder to laugh. Whereas like anytime we're in public, all of her friends and everyone around her are laughing like nonstop. And they're like, how do you like deal with this guy? Like, he's so funny. And the whole time she's just straight faced. Like, you're too on today. Dial it back. You're being a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? Like, she's got a little bit of an immunity to the funny, it seems, but
I'm not alone.
exactly.
I'm so
right.
relieved to hear that.
Yeah,
Jesus.
except you're not that funny, Matt. So I mean,
That's a good point. That's why I was like, we need a real comedian to be on this show because we're over here with training wheels on, just
Come
trying
on.
to flub through.
Everybody's
we
funny,
need a
man.
journeyman up here.
Hilarious. Yeah, but it's actually good now that like we do the content together because I can, when she shits the bed, I'm like, okay, you see how you said this? Okay, yeah, that's stupid. You're an idiot. I get my chance to give it back a little bit and just be like, see, it's not that easy, is it?
In what world did you think that was funny?
Yeah, exactly.
So, what's your favorite part of your routine? Because you do the Persian guy, you do the Italian. I think those are hilarious. I've always liked impersonations. Growing up, those were some of my favorite comedians. Is that like the kind of humor you bring into your relationship that you think you're going to bring in with your daughter, or is it going to be like fart jokes and like dad jokes and stuff like that?
Oh God, I'm hoping that dad jokes don't happen. I'm hoping that like because I'm a comedian, I'm like I blow past the dad jokes. But yeah, I don't know. There's so much stuff that I don't bring to social media. Like I do way more accents and characters that are like not safe for Instagram, if you will. And like impersonate so many family members that no one knows and would understand. So I don't put them online either. So yeah, like impersonation and like, dude, I'm like the biggest sucker for fart jokes, like, and all that Chris Farley physical fart, slip, shit his pants stuff, like, rips me apart. So, definitely all of that, all of it.
So you're 7 weeks into it with the newborn. How are the premises being developed here? Is anything happening where you're like, all right, that I need to develop that a little bit more?
Making bits
For
out
sure.
of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because like I've done a few shows where like I'm going out there doing the new material and I'm like, I'm just not mentally in these shows. Like I'm just so tired. I'm not in the frame of mind to give a shit of like joke structure, and like I just go out there and go, okay guys, this happened like 3 days ago. I thought it was funny. Let's give it a shot. And like it's just up and down, so like, but there is a lot of premises coming out of it because I'm living with my grandparents, which are my child's great grandparents. There's a lot going on here. Like those Nonno videos, I just see my Nonno doing something and then I put the fucking jacket on and redo it. You know what I mean? Like,
I love it.
he's,
The gift that keeps on giving.
exactly. And, I just, that's just how it goes. You know what I mean? Like it's the character stuff comes so easy and the stand-up stuff is like, it's a little bit deeper, the stuff. So like I got to massage it to find the funny a little bit more, or like craft it a little bit better, because they're not so much as like very easy funny topics. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, but I found that having a kid, it makes everybody be very introspective. Like you'll see people hold your kid and just break down in tears or start giving you these monologues of like life-changing stuff, where your parents will tell you how proud they are of you all of a sudden out of fucking nowhere. Like I find that the child is this catalyst for this like emotional, introspective type of conversation. And I'm trying to build a joke about that. It's not funny at all, but
It's funny you say that because like my parents and my in-laws, I think, were happier than even I was to find out that we were having a kid, that they were having a grandkid. And the more I think about it, because my dad was really happy about it, like, and really pushy, like, when are you going to have a kid or whatever? And I think, is it that I was such a failure that he needs to try again with my kid? Is that what's going on there?
See what I mean? Yeah, like that's fucking hilarious. I should write that down. That's like that.
No, that
I
wasn't
don't
a
know.
joke. That's honest. Like I'm asking.
I don't know, but like I feel, and I think it's because they know what it feels like to have a kid, so they know how big of a deal it
Yeah.
is to everybody around them. Like I did not think that it would be this big of a deal to my parents, dude, my grandfather again, which is the great grandfather, and like I don't know if you guys ever met your great grandparents or anything like that, but like I have like one memory of one of them, and like that's it, you know. So he's just holding this thing, bawling his eyes out. I've never seen this guy cry in his life. He's 88 years old, and he's like, "You don't understand. Like, I was holding you like this. I was holding your mom like this. Like, and it like life goes by so quickly.
It's incredible.
Like, he's like, you don't understand what's happening in my mind." And I was just like, "You're right. I have no idea." Like,
yeah, I mean,
because
and
I
he gets to
haven't
be there
cried
for
yet.
another generation too. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Like when you
so,
think
like-
about that, you just feel small actually when you think about that.
Yeah, so I'm trying to find ways to make that stuff funny because I do feel that it's relatable to people who've had kids. So I'm trying to find a way to put my own spin on it.
My daughter got me a couple days ago, man. She just started smiling,
Yeah,
and like it just fucking warms your heart. Like,
yeah,
you'll just be doing just looking at her, and then she connects eyes with you and just starts with a smirk, and then she smiles, and then she shits her pants, and it's just
The
like
best.
a vicious circle of that. And I'm just
Yeah.
like so happy because for that time when they're that young, like they're not really doing much, right? They're just
Right,
kind of
yeah.
they're just kind of there, and that's how we were able to do those things like go on an airplane and go to a concert because she was not as I don't want to say aware, but like she just wasn't as present. But
Right.
now like she's smiling and following us. It's just little things like that it's like you're becoming someone.
yeah. It's actually great. Like I had that the other day too, where I was so mad, dude. Like I was running on no sleep. I had a work call, and like I'm on this writing project, and like she's just screaming in the background, and my wife's not home to help me deal with it. And like I'm constantly having to be like, "Dad, just give me a sec," and she's losing it, and nothing is helping. Food changed, no problem, and like I'm just ready to drop kick this child, and I've reached my max. I'm angry. I want to kill you. This is fucked. I want to kill myself. And then I start like playing with her face, and she started laughing. I've never seen her laugh. Right away, flip the script. I'm like, this is the best moment of my life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
So she's all she wanted at that time was you. Like not fuck food, fuck that. She just wanted dad.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
I mean that would if that doesn't calm you down and make you reevaluate things, I don't know what will.
Yeah, and I wanted to like jump on the call and be like, "Hey guys, I'm out of here. Just want to stare at my kid for a little bit." She's laughing. Like when you
Fuck
tell
you
people
guys,
who
I'm a
don't,
dad.
yeah, exactly. And like people who don't have kids are just like, "Buddy, it's not that big a deal." And you're like, "You don't understand. I'm watching someone turn into something that was in my nuts. Like it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like it's just so crazy." Yeah.
My sperm has a personality, okay?
Yeah, man. Like, come on, dude. This could have ended up in a napkin. It's crazy.
This could have dripped out on the carpet. This one got
Yeah.
lucky.
Legit.
And there's just
That's
going to be
fucking
more
hilarious.
experiences like that, right?
Mhm.
Like where they're just going to become more aware and start latching on. And then I'm really trying to train her to do dada. I mean, she's 8 weeks old, so I'm really trying to get a hold of
Starting
that.
early.
We've also
Love it.
we've also been prioritizing a lot of the tummy time so she can get her neck strength up.
Yeah.
Like that's like our biggest thing. I'm like she needs to have strong neck game because before I was a dad, I always just looked at babies as like the most fragile thing in the world, right?
Yeah.
Like if I move my hand, oh my god, fucking Stephen Hawking baby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you think I feel? And last time I saw you, you were like, "Hold my baby." I'm like, I might throw your baby on X. I don't know what to do with this. I
Yeah,
don't hold babies.
My brother was like that. He's never held a baby before. He was like, "What do I do with this thing?" I'm like, "No, just relax, man."
I know what to do with toddlers. You throw them there, they giggle, you catch them. That's what you do with toddlers. Cannot do that with a newborn.
Yeah, you turn on the ceiling fan, throw them up again.
Exactly.
You know, my theory on why kids are so like mind blowing to people is because, like you said, they just keep going through these firsts, and you're watching them go through these things that to us are like been there, done that, and you're watching someone go through it for the first time and like actually be blown away or enjoy it and be like, oh my God, this is my hand. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy, you know, where it's like you have this grateful moment. You're like, oh, that actually is astounding that we're here and doing this and that's possible, you know?
Actually, that's like, I don't know about you guys, and I'll ask you, like, what were the things that, like, the anxieties you had and what also excited you the most about becoming a dad. But the thing I'm most looking forward to is to just experience all these first, like, genuine first with somebody that is forced to be attached to me. Like, first zoo, like, you know, first bicycle, like, all that stuff I love doing and all the joy I got doing it at the first, like going to the penguin exhibit, stuff like that. I like penguins. I cannot wait to do that with my son. Like, I want to fast forward to the moment where I can take him to the zoo and all that shit, which I know there's a lot of people that are like, oh, you know, now I got to do all this kid stuff. I'm like, but that's like the greatest. Like, there's no consequences to doing that. You don't have to worry about doing that.
You just need a good wagon. That's it.
Yeah.
You got to go to Costco and get one of those. Buddy, bro, I saw this guy at the zoo.
Fuck those things. They're like $120, those wagons that expand. No, fuck that. I'm not spending that kind of money on a wagon.
This guy, I'm going to tell you this right now. This guy at the zoo had a $1,000 wagon because I asked him. I'd never seen anything like this in my life, bro. This is a fucking Cadillac of wagons. Dude, this guy had 2 kids in the wagon, right? Could fit 4. Under each seat was a cooler. It had a full tent over top.
Cooler, you say?
Cooler. You could
now
pull
I'm
it,
interested.
right? You
Fill
could
that
pull
cooler
it
up.
It's crazy. You could pull it from the front. From the back had like a push steering brakes type shit.
Oh yeah.
And with a little like plain train table that popped up for dad's drink. And then on the side, bro, you can accordion out a fucking picnic table. I was like, this is fucked. Like, this guy had this whole thing set up and sprawled out. I'm like, where and how much?
To use it once a year? Exactly. That's the only fucking time you use it. The once a year that he takes his kid to the zoo.
Legit.
The rest of the time he's working to pay off that fucking...
Yeah.
He's over there flexing on everybody at the zoo, though. I mean, that guy rolls up with the fucking setup, and he's just got random people coming up to him and saying, yo, where'd you cop this? And I think there's like a level of like the baby gear. Like, for the longest time when I was, you know, an expectant father, I didn't give a shit what was coming into this house. And now I'm like, okay, this actually has utility. That's how I look at things. I'm like, and when you talk about that wagon, I'm like, holy shit, that would be dope because it just has so many different uses. Like, when you have a kid, like, you want to lessen your carry as much as possible. So if you can condense it all down to a wagon, more power to you.
Yeah, because
As
you
long
got
as it's not a leash. I will not be a leash dad.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. But I mean, sometimes the zoo gets a little wild. I wouldn't mind the fucking leash, or at least an AirPod or something.
Put the kid in the
Apple
exhibit.
Tag or whatever. Yeah, yeah, true.
One thing you were talking about, Mark, is just kind of the level of support that you have right now with your daughter. And I mean, that's just something we've been trying to convince my mom to come down here. She's come down here like 3 times for 2 weeks at a time, which I guess if the math works out, she's only has been here for 2 weeks of the baby's life. But it's just like, that's just something that not a lot of people have access to. And especially like the different generations, like we still have my great grandmother, so she does know her great grandma.
Nice.
I still have to remind my great grandma that she not only has a granddaughter, but that we named her after her.
Awesome. That's awesome.
So it's like a new experience for my great grandma every time I tell her. I'm like, her name's Maisie Rose, like yours name. And she's like, oh my goodness.
Wow.
You know,
She's like, you stole my name, baby.
Yeah, she's like, what the fuck? Imagine.
There's 2 of us?
Yeah, there can only be one of us. I'm out of here.
It's Highlander.
Yeah. Sorry, you did ask a question, being like, what are we looking forward to doing most, by the way? And then we didn't answer you. But I'd say sports games, like live events, live sports. I can't wait to be like, let's go to a Raptors game or whatever they're interested in, to take them to the live version of it, and then being all like, oh my God, we're going to see Kyle Lowry or whoever the fuck, like LeBron James. Like, we're going to go see LeBron, like watching them.
Go see LeBron lose.
Yeah, right? Like, because I still do that. You know what I mean? Like, I went to Europe and I got to see some soccer games, a big soccer fan. And I was like jacked up. I felt like a little kid again. And I think that, you know, you end up having that first as an adult. I think that's why old people are so bitter, because they have less and less firsts. You know what I mean? So,
well, and so you're like me. You want to relive those first. And my wife and I were talking about that. We went to a Tigers Angels game yesterday, which was awesome. On a Tuesday, like I'm so old now that a Tuesday baseball game, having one beer and eating a hot dog is like the pinnacle of just a great night. And then going to bed early. But I was like, we're having our son in November. Eventually, we're just going to have to take him for a birthday present to all the Lions games because that's a big thing is the Thanksgiving Lions games.
Yeah, experience disappointment.
Well, oddly enough, fuck you, we're going to the Super Bowl. Oddly enough, she was like, yeah, we got to do that. That's a great idea. We got to start a tradition like that.
Yeah, that's great, man. I used to do that. My parents used to take me to the Argos games every year. Argos CFL. Not sure if you know about it. It's
right?
It's trash. But I'm pretty sure that they would bring us because you could bring 12 kids for $100, all of them inclusive food and everything, back in the day. So, but yeah, those were sick. Like I'd have my birthday party watching a CFL game. It was sick. It was a big event, but I'm trying to figure out what your question was that you just asked, Matt, about support.
No, I was just asking about like, what does that level of support like mean to you and your wife? Because if we didn't have my mom here, like when she was down here, Mark, we were able to like say like, all right, you're going to watch the baby tonight, right? And she would just stay with the baby the whole entire night. And we'd actually be able to get like a bit of sleep. Or if we would just wanted to like go out, like just having that flexibility has made this first 8 weeks, I'm not going to say easier, but like, just like it has made it smoother. It really has.
I'm going to sound like a fucking dick. The main reason why we moved was to be closer to family for this reason. Now that we're here, it's such pros and cons, man. Like, I am so grateful that I have access to family to come here. We're like, I'm a 5-minute drive from her parents' place, my parents' place. All of our siblings are around. Like, there is not a shortage of people that I can call in a bind, right? But Italians, for whatever fucking reason, all think they went to medical school. And every single one of them has a nursing degree, has delivered babies, and they all think that they know better than you, and they all have these old wise tales that to them is the gospel, and that's what we're going to do. So, like, you can't leave the baby with them because they don't listen to you, and you go, no, that's our turn to be parents. Do me a favor. Do this at this time, do that. If they have a meltdown, do this. Can you do that? 2 hours later, we get home. Nothing that we said even sunk in. And, it's to the point right now where we're trying to now find a house further away from these people. Or like, you know what I mean? Like, just be like, you restrain the families to 1 day a week for X amount of time. And that's it. Because they don't listen, and you're like, man, the science has changed a lot since you had a kid. Mm-hmm. So like what you're doing could potentially harm the child. And you tell them that and they go, I don't believe, no way.
You turned out fine.
Oh
like,
my God.
You call this fine? You call this fine?
If I hear that fucking sentence one more damn time, dude, look how you turned out. I'm like, right, yeah, my doctor tells me I might die by 40 because I'm fucking 300 pounds. I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? But
basically, we did a whole bit on that when we first started this podcast called "The Worst Unsolicited Dad Advice You've Ever Gotten."
Oh,
and it's just like so much shitty advice that you get and a lot of it doesn't even make sense. Like, it wasn't even science back then,
dude.
Like, which is the craziest part.
The whiskey on the teeth. I'm actually opening my phone right now to look. Putting whiskey on their gums.
What?
During teething? Yeah, that was a thing.
Dude, I can't even tell you the fights I have with my grandmother because she's like, on the Q-tip, dipping the Q-tip into fucking, Jameson. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like,
do not put that
her
in my
teeth.
baby's
I'm
mouth.
like, first of all, they're not even close to teething. Like,
right? No.
What? And she was like,
got to build up that alcohol tolerance early for when she is teething.
They literally
said
they're
drunk
like,
and in pain.
They're like, alcohol helps their system. Who the fuck said that? Who said it? And then you Google it, and you show them. They're like, Google doesn't know what they're talking. Google didn't go through the war, and you're like,
you weren't teething in the war, goddammit.
Oh my God, dude.
I will say one thing about the teething stage. I have a close friend who is going through the teething stage, and they've told me it's a fucking nightmare.
I can imagine.
So maybe we'll revert to the bottle then. But I mean, we're 8 weeks into this.
Maybe for you can drink the pain away. It's easy to fall asleep to a crying baby when you've drank a fifth of Jameson.
True.
Matt, one of the things that you asked was like, we just got so much unsolicited bad advice. And you were kind of talking about some of the advice from your family members, but like just from outside people before you became a dad. What were like some of those things that you heard? I want to share one that I heard, and it was this concept of banking up sleep. It was this idea that I could just sleep a shitload before the baby got here and I'd be A-okay. The worst advice I've ever gotten.
I'm trying to think.
Matt, are you still getting some of this advice too?
No, actually, as you know, I've spent a lot of time not hanging out with friends and family. So, and just pretty much ignoring people when they talk to me. So they have and they're all listening to the podcast. So they now nobody's giving me any advice.
They're on notice now.
Yeah.
What pisses me off the most is just they always assume any parent, when they see the baby, when the baby does anything, if it's crying, that means it's hungry. If it opens its mouth, that means it's hungry. No matter what is, oh my God, it's hungry. And I'm like, that's just not true. Like, and no matter how much science you throw at them and how many times you're like, them crying could literally mean one of 25 things. Temperature, if they shit, this and that, you name it, right? Yeah. Hunger is not the main thing. And, I have some friends that have had kids that don't reach their baby weight for like 3 months, or their babies are really underweight and whatever. Dude, my child is a mammoth, just like a fucking tank. And every time we go to the doctors, they're like, this child needs to borderline stop eating. Like, it's too much, and we're feeding it regularly like normal people. But our family is like, no. Whatever they told you to do with how much to feed, double it. And I'm like, no, man. Like, my child is 13 and a half pounds at 7 weeks. That's the same size as like some kids at 3 months. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Stop feeding my kid Capicola.
Yeah, exactly. Stop the salami, dude. Fuck.
I'm just envisioning like your household being like a watered down version of The Sopranos right now. I know that's so close. Wrong. Just opening close. The fridge, grabbing cured meats, feeding it to the baby.
Legit. I mean, I could take you to the fridge right now and show you all that stuff. But yeah, the grandparents, they just have no concept. And here's the thing, what I'm noticing is people don't have, like, maybe you might notice this with your wife. I just want to make sure.
I love about to do a wife joke, better look.
Right? But like, they don't remember things 100%. In like this period, postpartum is a real thing. Yeah. And you're like, and even for us, right? Like, this 6 weeks has gone by so quickly. And like, do I remember the exact details already from like what happened a week ago? No, because this whole 6-7 weeks feels like one day anyways. So don't fucking tell me at 88 years old, you remember the newborn stage of your first child when you have fucking 4. I don't want to hear it. Like, because a lot of times they're referring to like when the kid was like 2.
Yeah.
Or like, they're like, oh, they should be walking by now. You're like, you have no concept of any timeline. You know what I mean? So
when you were teething, you drank so much, Jameson. I was 25.
Yeah, exactly. They have no concept of time.
The Italian nurse, just
that's a good bit to get your wife to do with you. Make her the Italian nurse.
Yeah, exactly. Jesus Christ.
So, I guess we're getting to an hour here, so we got a little more things to get to.
I have all the time in the world, so.
Just some, you don't have to go too in depth. You can go in depth. So far, you said you're 7 weeks in. What has been the greatest, most fulfilling part about becoming a dad? That has, I'm sure you had anxieties when you found out you were becoming a dad. I know I did. I was like, I know we wanted it, but now it's real. It actually happened. So you started having that anxiety. What's like the greatest part that's happened that has, now you're like, you almost feel guilty about having the anxiety before?
That's a good question. the greatest thing I'd say is, like I was telling you before, like everybody's reaction. It's almost like having a child solidifies you in the family on another level. Like they no longer, because you know how it is where they go, you date a girl, they go, when are you gonna get married? And then you get married, when are you gonna have kids? Like it's always like, when are you gonna be one of us, you know? Or like, when are you gonna finally be an adult that understands all these big things? So now that you've gone through them all, they're like, welcome to the club.
Yeah.
You know, and like they leave you the fuck alone. Now it's like all eyes on your cousin who's single, that piece of shit. What's he doing? You know what I mean? Like, so like that level, like they almost respect you on another level of like, okay, Mark's finally a fucking adult, and you know, I get
Ooh,
these.
how far from the truth that is.
Right? Yes. I know, right? As I fucking fire up the N64 and shit and order pizza at 3 a.m. high as shit. I can't remember your full question, but the rewarding stuff is like, you know, my dad finally giving me this big conversation, this monologue of like, oh, I'm so proud of you now that you're this, that, and the other. The tune of me being, you know, this starving artist fucking loser is gone. Like, there's a lot of that. Now, it's brought in along different stuff. Like, you got to be making more money. Now you need 3 jobs. Like, you know, there, like I said, pros and cons. With the baby, it's those firsts. Like the smiling and laughing right now just has me just overwhelmed with emotion. Like you just can't describe. You know.
It's so weird that like they're so proud of you just because you had unprotected sex.
It's
Like
unbelievable.
that's what like it does. It's not some
all it
special
is.
skill to get somebody pregnant. Like it
No.
really isn't. All I did
No.
was bust a nut without a wrapper on.
Yeah. But you know what it is? It's going through the shit. People respect you when you grind. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they just see you getting no sleep and they go, you see? You piece of shit. How did
It's
that
fucking
feel?
terrible.
We did it. You did it. Welcome. Like now we can both complain together.
Now you
know
got
what I
to
mean? Like,
survive.
yeah, exactly. Now they feel like they can finally relate to you and you can relate to them and stuff. It's definitely made me way more appreciative of the shit that my parents went through. Cause like, you know, my dad was like, buddy, if you think your kid eats, you have no idea. He's like,
Look at you. Look at
yeah, dude, he told me that my neighbors thought that they had triplets for the amount of formula and recycling at the end of the driveway. They were like, we only got you a gift for one child. Like, how many are in there? He's like, this is just the one, you know? He's like, you were fucked. So, you know, I like, it makes me sit there and go, hey, mom and dad, thanks a lot. I was probably a nightmare, you know?
I got to switch gears a little bit here because you are Canadian. And I just have to say that I have a level of appreciation for Canada, but it's probably not for the reasons you would suspect.
Let's go. Let's hear it.
All right. So in high school, I worked at a candy shop called Yummy Town, and we used to import a lot of Canadian candy. And I'm just going to call out a couple names and just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Does that work for you?
I love this.
Mr. Big. Matt, do you know what Mr. Big is, dude?
no.
Take every fucking candy bar you can think of and smash it into one. That's
it into
Mr.
one.
Big.
It's kind of like an O. Henry meets a Butterfinger.
Oh,
Yes. It's fucking dangerous.
I love Butterfinger.
More nuts. Sorry.
Matt, you're
Love
gonna
nuts.
you're gonna Smarties.
Oh, I
Oh,
love
yeah.
Smarties. That,
No,
Smarties-
you're not thinking of Smarties, dude.
Well, here's the thing. M&Ms are just way better, in my opinion. But Smarties has because Smarties was like the Halloween trick or treat candy for everybody. Like, you know, as you're trick or treating, just boom, you shoot back a mini box of them. You know what I mean? So there's a special place. But M&Ms, bro, has really, dude, Smarties hasn't done shit in like 20 years. I don't even think Smarties is going anymore in Canada, to be honest with you. And now M&M's is like, choose a nut, any nut, dip it in whatever chocolate you want, and we've got it, you know? So
Wait a minute. Is there a different Smarties in America than in Canada?
Yes, that's what I was going to
what?
explain.
I'm
Yeah,
so
so
confused.
what's
Smarties,
the Smarties in
Because
America?
you're talking about fucking chocolate, and I'm like, no, Smarties are chalk. I mean, they're
Yeah.
like mini Necco wafers. I love them because
Hold on.
I'm 80.
That's
but
why I was
wait,
asking
fuck.
the Canadian point of view here, Matt, about Smarties, because they're made by Cadbury, and having
love
worked at that
Cadbury,
candy shop, I always like prioritize Cadbury chocolate over Hershey's chocolate. But to hear you, Mark, say, "Man, I'd rather have M&Ms over Smarties," I'm like, damn.
So you're
Dude,
thinking
I
of
cannot even
rockets. We would
find-
call them rockets, is what you're talking about. The Smarties that you guys have are called rockets over here.
Okay.
Okay,
little
so there's a
chalky pieces
whole
of
like blog I'm finding called Canadian versus American Smarties. I'm gonna have to take a deep dive into that later.
Yeah, you are. I got one more for you, Mark.
Hmm.
So when I worked at that candy shop, we had a code word that could produce this next candy because it was actually banned in the United States. Kinder eggs.
What? You guys
Oh,
don't
I
have
like
Kinder
these.
eggs?
We have those
We
now.
do not.
We have those now.
No, we do not.
Yes,
Matt,
they do.
so
I see them at the grocery store.
let me correct
And then
this
there's
moron.
Kinder Buenos too, the bars.
No, completely different. So the Kinder egg in Canada has an actual plastic capsule inside the chocolate.
Yeah, the Kinder Surprise, yeah.
And it's got
Yes.
a toy in there.
Yes,
Yeah.
but that's not what they have in the States. In the States, they don't have that plastic capsule inside the chocolate because of like choking hazards or whatever.
Yeah, it was banned. It was banned in the U.S. according to this. Kinder Surprise eggs are banned in the U.S. due to kids fucking eating
Because
that capsule.
American kids are dumbasses.
I told you, dude. So people would come into the candy shop, and if they knew the code word, then we'd pull the Kinder eggs from under there. You know, kind of like a little bit of a speakeasy situation for the Kinder eggs.
Here's two other ones that you don't have that you should. But I'll get into all the things that you have that we don't, that we should. But all dressed chips and ketchup chips.
Oh,
Man.
gross.
Listen, it sounds gross, but brother,
I'm not a ketchup guy.
no way. No, listen, I don't put ketchup on
shit.
me either. But I'm telling you, ketchup chips, it's something different.
All right.
And then
We
you
have,
guys have the cereals that are just like every
If you
time I
like
come there,
smoking weed, cereal, American cereal is like the king.
dude, every time I come there, my luggage, I go to Walmart and I just fuck that cereal aisle up, bro. You guys have it's called Rice Krispie clusters. And it's basically like Rice Krispie squares just torn up. Oh my goodness. That
He
shit
picked
is
like the
crazy.
most vanilla one of our cereals too. He might
But,
as well
bro-
pick shredded wheat. I was expecting like Cookie Crisp or Cinnamon Toast Crunch. He's like,
see,
no,
we
I
have
really
Cinnamon
like.
Toast You guys have also Cinnamon Toast Crunch did a collaboration with Frosted Flakes, which we don't have here.
Oh, so good.
And then there was you guys did Apple Crisps and what are the little cinnamon bun? They look like little cinnamon buns.
I know what you're talking
Those
about. I
Apple-
can't remember the name. That's a good. So, was it Apple Crisp or Apple Jacks that did it?
Sorry, Apple Jacks. It was Apple Jacks did a collaboration with someone else. And then there was a Captain Crunch Fruit Loops collaboration. You guys just fucking merge them, bro, all the time. And I'm like, what?
It's dessert too.
I'm
It's
here
candy.
with
They're
two
like,
fucking, two
like,
boxes.
start your day off with a bowl of diabetes.
Oh, 100%.
I love it.
Hell yeah, guys. We just did 15 minutes on snacks.
Love
I
that.
think I hate to do this because this has been great. Like I feel like you're like my best friend now, Marc-Anthony.
This is
But
great. Same. I love you guys.
We are getting to the point where I'm gonna have to sign off soon. So Matt, why don't you take it home for us? We were gonna do like some top threes. We can. Do you think we still can do that, Matt?
Let's do it.
I mean, I'm curious, yeah. So what are those top 3 pieces of baby gear that you are using with your baby girl?
It's called a Snuggie. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but it's basically a pillow that has a crevasse in it. But if you put them in there, they're like kind of lodged in the Lazy Boy cushion surround sound type shit. They pass out right away. The Moby Wrap, which is basically a bed sheet that you wrap around and just slot them in because you can actually do shit. A wipe warmer, because when you wipe their ass with cold wipes, they freak the fuck out. So if like you're in the middle of the night and they're like not really awake and you have to change them, you get these nice warm wipes on their ass. They don't even really wake up. It's fucking butter.
I just turned down a free wipe warmer from a coworker.
You
Unopened, never used. Was it a
idiot!
mistake?
Oh my gosh, bro! Let me tell you something.
She was
right
like, "We never used it," and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, well, I don't want the shit you never used. I don't want shit at my house that I'll
Would
never
you like
use.
a warm wipe on your ass, Matt? I mean, come on. This is
No.
Actually, I
no-brainer.
did just start using
White?
dude
my
wipes
God.
for every bowel movement, so maybe I should get a wipe warmer.
You know what, dude? Me and my wife fought about this for so long because I wanted her to put it on the baby shower registry. I'm like, put the wipe warmer, because all my buddies were like, you have to get it. And she was like, I'm not getting it. It's dumb. My buddy, dude, 2 weeks in, was like, hey, man, here's a bunch of shit. Wipe warmer was in there. Game changer. My wife, right away, we should have got this from the start.
One thing that, thank you for that awesome list. I hope our audience takes that, and I hope Matt also goes back to that person, gets that wipe warmer. You moron.
I'm going to.
When someone asked me like, hey, like what's that like piece of must have baby gear? It's baby straight jackets, man. Anything to bound that baby up so they can't like have their hands free. Like when she's sleeping, like we got this one that like velcros her arms and then zips and like does the legs. Like she's in there.
I've heard that from that's a piece of unsolicited advice that I keep hearing.
Yeah.
That I haven't said anything about because I don't know, is literally anything that just binds that baby up to where they must think they're back in the womb, like they can't do shit. So
yeah. Honestly, I'd say, man, if there's any friends that you have that are going to give you shit, take all of it because you don't know what your baby's going to like. Like, there's so many things, dude, that, like, I've got bassinets, swings, fucking these, like, chairs that bounce, fucking jumpers, slingshots, fucking all this nonsense. She doesn't like any of it. There's one swing that we have that I was going to just not take from my buddy. You literally put her in it, and it goes back and forth, plays music. There's things that spin to the top of it. Buddy, she sits in that thing 3 hours, loves it, doesn't make a sound, and I would have never thought. So like, you never know what they're gonna like, you know.
That's a great point.
So I'm going about this all wrong.
You are.
Stop denying free shit, bro. What is wrong with you?
I just don't want. I think it's still part of like the fact that it hasn't set in that I'm going to be a dad yet. To where I'm like, I don't want baby shit in my house. Like, I feel like I just grew up. I've got nice grown up things, and now it's all out the window.
Well, just remember, right? Like a lot of that stuff is like only for the first little bit. You're going to get rid of it in like half a year anyways and give it to someone else or, because you can't keep the stuff for the next one because it's on a rotation. These things have to like,
the new science will say that stuff's bad for your baby anyways.
Safety code nonsense updates, all this bullshit.
One thing that you said there was like the swings that go back and forth or the rockers. And my fucking algorithm was like telling me like, don't place your kids in these. It's going to like cause them to not hit certain milestones and all this. And I'm like, well, how am I supposed to like live my fucking life? I mean, I work from home. Like if I didn't have that swing where she's going back and forth for 3 hours, I don't know what I'd be doing, man. So I'm like, they call them bucket babies, Mark.
No, and I've heard about this, and you know what? We limit it. It's when, I got to take a shit. Where can I put them that they're not going to potentially roll over, suffocate themselves, and die? Okay.
Yeah.
Throw it in the swing. Turn the swing. They're occupied. We've got these things that develop their sight and stuff. So, I'm like, okay, look at those things for a little bit. Develop your eyesight. I don't fucking know.
It sounds like all that stuff is written for parents that like really phone it in. Let the TV do the parenting, let the swing do the parent. Like, I don't think any of us on here are going to fall to that trap where, because we all wanted to be parents. So we're not going to just like, I can see that being a problem if you didn't want to be a parent and you're just trying to pawn off the responsibility on whatever inanimate object or, relative there is. But I think a lot of that, those reports of making bucket babies wouldn't apply to any of us.
Yeah.
Oh, you're still in this point, Matt. Does your wife have a pregnancy pillow?
Multiple.
Do you use it?
Me? No, she does. She uses everything.
Do you use it?
No, I don't touch her
Brother.
pregnancy pillow.
Do me a favor. Buy one for yourself. It's the greatest thing on earth.
Really?
Like, I'm telling you, dude, I had one not knowing. I thought it was a body pillow. And, on the tag, my wife's like, you have a pregnancy pillow? And I was like, yeah, what the fuck? Like when we moved in together, she's like, are you stupid? I'm like, it's a game changer. Then she bought one for pregnancy. And then I basically bought the same one she has because it's way better. It's the fucking best sleep of your life. You go in my bed right now.
Is it going to alleviate the pressure after I eat a bunch of Taco Bell on my back? Is that what's going to do?
100%. 100%.
Mark, we can't thank you enough for joining us today. Please let the audience know where they can find you. And, just go ahead and give your plugs away there.
Well Fed is the comedy album. Leftovers is the second comedy album. At Not Marc-Anthony on all platforms. Marc-Anthony Sinagoga on YouTube. Spotify for none of you. And that's pretty much it, man. That's it. marcanthony.com is my website, which has everything that everything else has. It's all the same. I should be in the U.S. I'll be in Chicago in November, and hopefully Austin in December. Maybe coming to Florida in January. See you guys. Who knows? You're in Florida, you said, and you're in Michigan?
I'm in Michigan, and it sucks because Chicago would be great for me, but I'm having my kid in November, so I will not be able to attend that.
Maybe on the drive, I'll drop you off a little baby gift or something if I'm driving.
I'm
still,
in
Make it a
Florida,
priority.
Whereabouts in Florida?
right outside of Tampa.
Nice.
And I just have to plug one comedy club. It's like my home club that I go to a lot. It's called The Gimmick. Okay. And it's inside a trap house in downtown Tampa. And it is just such a great room. Like, it's packed. They do a mic on Monday, Wednesday, and then they do a Saturday and a Sunday. And please, like, if you're anywhere near Florida, like when you said Chicago right there, I'm like, I can find a reason to go to Chicago.
Well, that's easy. When you said Chicago, I was like, Matt, we'll meet there. But
that's
it's
unreal.
November. I don't know if that's going to happen.
I mean, if I've got anything sooner, I'll let you guys know 100%. But either way, I'll be making my way to Florida for sure, dude. Like,
no, man.
I have to.
That's awesome. And we'll definitely put all this in the show notes for our audience as well.
Yeah, we'll tag your link tree, all that stuff. So,
yep.
Are we getting a little? It's kind of cold in here.
It's freezing in here too. Fuck. My grandparents aren't here for the weekend, so I cranked the AC up. My grandfather doesn't do air conditioning, bro. I got house at fucking like 10 degrees, which for you guys is like, I don't know what it is.
I was like, God damn, that's cold.
I know, right?
Well,
it's not that cold over
70 degrees is what? 70 degrees Fahrenheit would be 20 Celsius?
Welcome back to Weather Wonderings with Matt K and Matt L.
No, hold on.
Got all
let me
the
find it.
spin-offs here.
Celsius to Fahrenheit. Hold on, converter. I have the
so
house
20 is
at,
going to be close. Yeah.
I have the house at 64 degrees.
Yeah,
but
30s 86. Yeah.
But they usually keep it at 79 degrees.
Damn.
Well,
that's too hot, brother.
That's way too hot.
It's way too hot.
Although with a pregnant wife, I find that my house is at like 65 more than it should be, and I'm constantly. I think that's what happens. Like, your grandfather probably wasn't crazy about if they had AC back then. Would have been crazy about it, and then his wife was pregnant and kept it super cold, and now I'm like, I got to turn it up to 70 all the time, which I was never a thermostat guy.
Man, me and my wife, it was the same thing. I was always like the sweating one, and she was always freezing. She got pregnant, fucking switched real quick, bro. I'd be in bed like, it's freezing in here. She's like, I'm boiling. Turn the fan on. You know what I mean? So I get it.
Like when Amanda wants to cuddle, I'm like, you're way too hot. She goes, you think I'm hot? I'm like, no, not like that kind of hot. Do not touch me. Temperature's too high.
The worst, bro. I could go off on pregnancy sex, but I'll leave that for another episode.
Hell yeah.
Let's
Mark,
do this.
Thank you so much, brother. I can't wait to come see you live.
Oh, thank you guys, Matt and Matt.
Can't wait to have you on again. This was great.
Dude, all the best with the birthing. I hope everything goes smooth. Fuck. And then we'll welcome you to the club. We'll do a little fucking ceremony online.
Finally get the respect.
Yeah, finally get my respect, you son of a bitch. Imagine. Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you, Mark.
Take it easy, boys.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Dad Brain. New episodes come out every Sunday. Don't miss any. Subscribe today wherever you listen to podcasts. While you are there, help spread the word about Dad Brain by leaving a rating and review. Can't get enough Dad Brain? Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Dad Brain Pod.